Karen, welcome to Exchange Notes. You're not going anywhere soon, are you?
I'm going to be here.
You were a pretty disciplined writer at the age of 15, which I think Truman Capote had written about 8 novels by the age of 15, but 15 is pretty good. What drove you to writing? Who inspired? Did you read a writer and say, wow, that looks good, I can do that? How did you...
One of my greatest inspirations when I was very young, 14, 15, 16, was the nature writer Annie Dillard. She was a really important writer for me. The book that really changed my life. And you know, when I was young, I remember people laughing at me for saying things like that, because of course one is dramatic when one is a teenager. But in fact, it was quite true. The book that really changed my life was called Holy the Firm. And it's a long meditation, not just on nature, but really on the nature of God and the mystery of violence. I was very much the classic kind of romantic young writer. You know, I left Canada, I went to live in various places on a shoestring, you know, by the skin of my teeth, a phrase I love, and really believed in myself as a writer, which was a great struggle, as you can imagine. But it was a very, you know, you could say romantic, or you can say a kind of classical upbringing for a writer in a way. And so that sense of being out in the world alone and wrestling with what it was that I had to wrestle with, which of course when you're that young you don't even know what it is that you're wrestling with yet. I mean, I knew that I was wrestling to make a book. For example, Touch the Dragon took me forever to write. It's an early book, my second book about Thailand, but it took me forever. I had all these letters, I had all these journals. It took 6 years to figure out really that I should just return to what was the form that the material came to me in, which was journals and letters, and simply transcribe and work on that material. I tried to write it as a novel, I tried to write it as fiction, I tried to, or as short stories rather, I tried to write it as sort of non-fiction essays, very kind of literary and thoughtful. But none of it worked. It was the actual experience that wanted transcription.
Writers have to live with faith. Writers live with uncertainty every day. And traveling is about uncertainty. And is writing and traveling to you both expressions of faith? Do you know there's a story about Kafka, My Destination? He says, why would a man even ride to the next village when the journey is so immense that you never know if you will make it? Is uncertainty, do you see uncertainty in the resolution of uncertainty? Is that a big thing with you?
I think that uncertainty is very pleasurable. You know, we get a lot of, we're scared of it, and we're just as we are frightened of change and new things or challenging things. But uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen next, and not being able to, not being sure how you're going to do something, is really the essence of creativity. You know, that sense of riskiness is really what it means to be an artist, is to risk something. And there's a definite relationship between that sense of uncertainty and risk in travel or in being in a new place and in the creative act. I mean, both of them are stepping into what we don't know. And for me, I mean, I haven't traveled so much as I've gone to places and stayed in places. And so part of the pleasure for me of living abroad, as with creative work, is being on the edge of not knowing and then slowly finding my way.
Do you find that those things, childhood is so important. Hemingway said the only training a writer really needs is an unhappy childhood. Do you find...
Yay!
Yeah. How many writers? Do you find that those issues from childhood, and maybe spurred by your brother's incarceration at the same time as you're writing a book about a prison, do you find those issues are coming back to you and you're starting to resolve them in your art as you mature?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think that all of the writing we do in some ways is an attempt to resolve, not necessarily our own issues, but some emotional knot that is somehow close to us. And the beautiful thing about art is that it can be so completely sublimated. You know, it can turn into something else. The story can be about something completely different, while we're still trying to unknot these mysteries, as you said earlier, and I made fun of you for it. These mysteries or these difficulties that are in our core, or at the core of our times.
You said in the Burmese lessons, in the beginning, all language is innocent. Let's talk about writing. We've been talking about history. Let's talk about writing as polemic in history. Are you a historian? Are you writing history? Are you writing perhaps the history that is unwritten?
I would like to think so, but again, history, I suppose historians, this is never true. I was going to say historians like to believe that they're being objective, but of course, as we know from recorded histories are very unobjective, right? They're full of, you know, history is mostly written by the people who won the battles.
Yes.
And the history that we subscribe to often is that history. So I would like to think that I'm writing a history that is not so commonly read.
Ms. Connelly, on your presumably portable desk, what are you working on right now?
I am working on a new novel, really just developing. It starts in Asia, but it will move to Canada, and it's partly about human trafficking. It's about the idea. It's about the idea that really moves it is what we do as humans with human beauty. So why we destroy beauty, why we love beauty, why we buy it, why we sell it, what we make of beauty, and why beauty is such an engine for people, and how we exploit beauty. So it's really about that, I think, beauty and violence. And I'm also collecting a bunch of essays that I've written over the years, and I'm thinking about, I have a book of poetry that's finished, but it's very much about violence against women, and I'm having a hard time finding a publisher who will publish it.
Beautiful. Karen Connelly, thank you.